Hi, thanks for having me. I'm a London National Park City Ranger. And before I begin, I just want to be clear that in this talk I use Black, Asian, and Minority Ethnic, or BAME, to be concise, but this isn't a term that everyone prefers. Also, there's another really big topic about how we account for disabilities, so that shouldn't be forgotten either. So next slide, please, to begin. In line with the theme of this event, I want to twist the talk's title to "What if the outdoors were for everyone?" I think it's a great angle because it asks us to imagine what is possible and what we can do to get there. Next slide, please. Diversity has been discussed quite a bit, but I want to talk about it today because it's gained a lot of momentum that I think should be sustained. If we want to see equality, diversity, and inclusion in our society, we need to think holistically about what opportunities different communities have and what they need in order to grow and to thrive. I think this is especially important in our parks and green spaces, which provide many benefits for physical and mental well-being. I also think that being outside helps us appreciate the value of nature and how vital it is that we live sustainably to protect our environment. Next slide, please. But it is clear that BAME communities still face barriers when it comes to accessing and feeling safe in green and outdoor spaces. Here are some of the things I dug up in my research. And many have also shared negative experiences such as microaggressions or racist comments and behaviors. This can lead to people feeling unsafe and conspicuous, which discourages them from going into nature. Next slide. So when I ask what if the outdoors were for everyone, I imagine places where everyone, regardless of ethnicity, age, ability or disability, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, income, or background can walk freely into places, feel belonging, and enjoy it. And the next slide, please. Here are some suggested efforts that different sectors can do. And this isn't at all exhaustive, and I'm sure there are people already doing many of these things and more, but I wanted to highlight some of the things to consider when we try these, when we try some of these initiatives. So for example, in education, I think something I'd like to add is also to be able to educate adults and youth on racism and colonial histories that can illuminate the systemic issues that have led to some inequalities today. And then for the sector, we can ask, are we engaging BAME communities in identifying barriers and solutions? Are we hiring representation across all levels? And this includes executive level. In the next slide, I also ask about how some of the practical things like making gear and tools accessible, and are speakers and representatives diverse? And also just to note, not only regulating speakers who have different expertise to talking about diversity. So if you go to the next slide, I'd like us to think about, as members of the public, we can take a lot of everyday steps, but I did want to emphasize today the importance of following, supporting, and possibly collaborating with people and organizations that are already working to diversify the outdoors. There are many who are showing really great leadership, and they span a host of activities and interests. This is, again, not exhaustive, but I wanted to note that this isn't to take away from the great work of other organizations, but I really want to drive the point that these groups can enrich the sector. So the next slide, one of the things that my fellow ranger Deepa Patel and I are trying to do to address this is by creating the South London Seed Group. We want to tell the stories of people across South London who are growing food from seed and feel some sort of connection to their cultural identities through food. We know that the food growing community is diverse, but they're not necessarily seen. And we hope to build a community where people can find support, share experiences, and explore how we connect to nature and culture through food growing. We are just starting out, and so we're really looking forward to seeing how this shapes up. If you have a story to share or want to get involved, please do get in touch. And just to end, I want to leave you with this. If enough of us start to ask, what if, and start working to make that vision a reality in our own spheres, I believe we can transform how we see London's green spaces, as well as how we see ourselves in them. Thanks for the time.